am here to show you how to make granola. This is one of my favorite things to do, and it's very simple. It's a lot easier than you think. So the first thing we do is we take a bowl. We start with a bowl, and then I'm one of those people who doesn't measure things all really precisely, so I hope you will get the feeling. So I'm going to pour a bunch of granola in here, about that way. How about like about that much? Actually, you know what? Let's pour the whole bag in. Woohoo! We poured it all over the counter too. Okay, so now we have granola. So this is the first thing we use, the foundation of granola. Then the next thing I'm going to do is put in some nuts, because we really like to have nuts. So I'm going to stick in some walnuts. And so what I'm going to do is take my walnuts, and I have this wonderful little grinder blender thing, and it is called a Ninja. And I just love it. It's so helpful for making granola or anytime you want to chop things up. So I'm going to get fill this about half full of walnuts. And then put the top on. Now get ready, it's going to make a loud noise. So we're not going to powder them, but we just want to grind them up a little bit. And that should do enough. It's just a quick little thing. And so now we have all kind of smaller, bite size, and then we'll just sprinkle them in. First thing. And then let's put some pecans in. Everybody likes pecans. And this is like, it's so much, I think it's less expensive if you make your own. And it's so much better. So now we'll put the pecans in. And give it a little squirt. I don't want it to be powdered. I really just want them to be broken up. And that looks pretty good, although we got one that's not broken, so I'll just break it. If you don't have one of these things, you can always chop your nuts. It's a little more work, but it's no big deal. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend to put almonds in, okay? Almonds. I forgot to bring almonds. So we don't have almonds here. I normally would put almonds in. So now what I'm going to do is kind of start mixing it in. And then I'm going to add things that don't really need to be chopped, and that would be sunflower seeds. So sunflower seeds are wonderful in granola. They're very inexpensive, and they are so good for you. So that's good. We'll mix up the sunflower seeds. And another good thing that you don't need to chop is pumpkin seeds. So they are really nice. And I just sprinkle them in, and I kind of like to cover the top, and that kind of gives me an idea for the amount that I'm working with, since I'm not measuring. Get them all mixed up in. And that's looking good. And I have one more thing. I want to take these peanuts. These are just shelled peanuts. I think I will blend them up just a hair. Not blend, but chop. Oops. And then these will be really a nice addition. More protein. So these nuts are great. They're tasty, they're health-giving foods, and they're got some protein in them. So we like to have the protein. Now, chopped up peanuts. And that's all I'm going to be chopping now. Now, if I had shredded coconut, I would also sprinkle that in. That's another wonderful thing to add. So now we have the basic ingredients of the granola. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of cinnamon in here, because I think that's a really good flavor for granola. Let me just grab a spoon. And cinnamon is another really good health-giving thing. And because you can't hardly overdo it with the cinnamon, I'm going to sprinkle quite a bit in. So that's good for the cinnamon. Again, we'll just get them all mixed up while it's still dry. It's just easier to mix when it's dry. So this is going to be a cinnamon nut granola. And now, one thing that's also nice to add is a little bit of sea salt. So this is another just healthy for you. Salt is actually good for you. Our body has a lot of salt, so how about it? Maybe a teaspoon and a half just of salt. So there we go. And I really recommend getting sea salt if you can. I think it's important to have iodized salt as well in your diet. So there we go. Now we have the basic ingredients. And next step, we're going to put some oil in. So I use olive oil, and I'm just going to kind of cover it a little bit on the top so you see how much we're using. And then what I'm looking for in the amount here is how it kind of blends in and gets connected with the rest of the ingredients. If you want, it's really nice. Oil is good. Healthy olive oil is one of the best oils for the body. And that's looking pretty moist. Get everything all mixed up. And now the next step is I add maple syrup. Now some people might want to add honey. Honey's another good one. The thing I like about maple syrup is it blends in easily because it's already a liquid. So again, I'm just kind of mixing that in on the top. So I not fill, but put a lot in the top. And then I'm just going to start mixing it in here and see how we go. And I add a little bit more. You can always add some honey. That's a good one. If you do use honey, you might want to heat it up a little bit so it blends in better. And we are almost done with our ingredients. And I'm getting kind of warm here because I turned my oven on a while ago. I turned the oven on at 400 degrees because I'm really going to do a couple of things here. Just bake it for a very short amount of time. I think I might add just a little more molasses. Not molasses. You can use molasses. Molasses is another good sweetener. Some people might use agave, different types of. I do not use sugar, and I don't recommend sugar. I don't even have sugar in my house. I think between honey, molasses, maple syrup, agave, and actually dried fruit and that sort of thing, I think are much better if you want to sweeten things. I highly recommend staying away from sugar or high fructose corn syrup. We don't need that. So now we have it at about the right consistency. And I'm just going to clear my deck over here. And now I'm going to put my cookie tin, and I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil on here just to, you don't really need a lot. I just kind of will spread it out with my hand actually, or my fingers, to make sure it kind of covers the whole thing. So I don't want too much. Let me get the big greasy bit. Now, that looks pretty good. And now I get to add the granola. And so I'm going to just start putting it around here and spreading it out. I could probably even use a bigger spoon. A bigger spoon here. And if you're not making quite as much as this, you can always just tip your bowl over and spill it into the cookie tin. So we want to get it nice and even, not too thick. And so this, I'm going to do 2 batches because this is quite a lot of granola. We eat, well, definitely Dean eats granola every day. I don't eat it quite every day, but it's a nice, easy food to eat, and it's healthy for you. I remember the first time I ever had granola. It was in 1970, and we were living in San Francisco, and we were introduced to it with a new friend, and we had spent the night at his place, he and his wife, and we were served granola that morning. And I was so fascinated by it because I could see that there were actually nuts in it, and it actually had things I could identify. I had grown up in the 50s and 60s with what they call Quaker oats shot from guns, or puffed rice, or puffed wheat, or something, or cornflakes, those kind of things. And when you look at cornflakes, you realize you don't really know what's in those things. There might be some corn, but there's also other stuff. So we've got it kind of spread out. I just want to make sure it's pretty even. And then I've already preheated the oven to 400. So now I'm going to put it in the oven here. Sun shining on it, and I'm going to set my timer for, I think, about 8 minutes. So I'm going to do 8 minutes to start with, and then it'll ring, and then I'm going to take it out and I'm going to stir it up again. So that is the basic recipe for granola, and it's so simple. If you don't have one of you can use a regular blender. You don't need my little chopper thing, or if you want, you can just chop the nuts up. So the more kind of nuts, the more variety of nuts you have, the tastier and the more healthy it's going to be for you. And I guess we'll just wait for 10 minutes or 8 minutes, and then we'll check back in and turn it over, and we may even have to get to eat some today. Well, I put in, again, I said I love almonds, and for some reason I don't have any almonds right now, and shredded coconut I think is one of the best things. You can use Brazil nuts, those are also good, and any kind of nut is, because what you're looking for is protein to add to the oats. Oats are such a good food for you. They're high in fiber, and they also have, you know, they're just good for people with cholesterol. It's just one of the best, I think, types of foods, and it's inexpensive. And then, you know, you want to, if you go to the store and get granola, that's one thing, but it's going to be a lot more expensive. But your basic oats costs, I always get organic. I really encourage people to use organic as much as possible, because the more we use organic food, the cheaper it will become. So that's pretty important. You could add powdered chocolate. That would also be a good thing. I like, somebody gave me a wonderful chocolate. It's cocoa butter. Well, it's the butter itself, and I've used that and made awesome things with it. It's a little hard to work with because you've got to scrape it off, and you know it's very hard. But chocolate is another wonderful flavor. You could also add vanilla, or ginger is another flavor. In fact, maybe I'll add a little ginger to this one just for the second batch. So we'll have a little ginger because that's always a good one. And you can play around. I think it's really important to be creative when you're cooking and enjoy yourself and not be set on any, have to do it this way. Okay, so now we get to take it out and stir it up a bit. So that's what we're going to do. And then what I'm going to do is just get in here and kind of, I just stir it up a little bit so it doesn't burn on any of the sides. And then I'm going to put it back in for maybe another 7 minutes or so. So keep an eye on it. Everybody's oven is a little different. So I'll put this back in, and hopefully I won't spill it on the floor. Yay! Okay, so now I'm going to set the timer again for maybe, let's do 7 minutes, and then we will reconnoiter after 7 minutes. Another thing you can do is you can add tahini. I find is really good. I get tahini at the co-op, and so I'm not going to do that right now, but tahini has, it's made from sesame, and that's another kind of nut, and that's another type of flavor that you can add, and it also gives you that sesame protein, which is very good for you. I think I will put a little ginger in this next batch, though. I'm playing my ginger. Yes! Somewhere. Well. Okay, so here's a little ginger. I'm just going to make this batch just a little bit more gingery. No powdered ginger. Anyway, improvise. It's my motto. So, and then what we'll do is once this is done, we'll pour it into the second bowl, and we'll get this one going, and then we will have granola. You can add, you can have granola with, you can put currants in it, or raisins, or prunes. Prunes are always good, give a nice flavor. You can serve it with soy milk, or almond milk, or milk, or yogurt. I love it with yogurt. And so it's just a wonderful, it's great for camping. It's a good portable food. If you want to have just a little snack during the day, bring a little bag of granola with you. And you're getting some good healthy food. So that's, you can also add the coconut afterwards. That doesn't have to be baked. So a lot of people prefer to add the coconut at the end anyway. So that is the plan. And then we'll pull it out and get going again. So now we are going to get the final version here. Let's see what we got. Oops. Yeah, that was perfect. So that was looked like about 8 minutes. first batch and then another 7 minutes, so a total of 15 minutes with a stir in between. So anyway, here is, yay, happy granola. Wonderful. It's great if you can eat it fresh, but it's and hot out of the oven. But it's wonderful for breakfast, and I recommend serving it with, we use prunes. We're getting older, we like prunes. Raisins, currants, any other kind of dried fruit. You can use bananas, strawberries, blueberries, all sorts of things can go along with granola. And then you can either add milk, soy milk, almond milk, cashew milk, or yogurt. And I think yogurt is one of the best. We discovered that when we would travel a lot, we would want to eat well and inexpensively. So we would actually buy, we go to the grocery store and get a thing of granola, just plain oats. And then, because we didn't always have a kitchen available, we would take our, say, a cup of oats and then 2 cups of water and just soak it overnight, add a few prunes or raisins or something, soak it overnight. They gave it a little extra sweetness. And then by morning, you didn't have to cook it. And I'm talking just oats, not even the fancy granola thing. But you can feed yourself quite inexpensively on the road, but you have to have a lot of planning, a bit of planning. And just an awareness that there are things available for, you know, making sandwiches or, you know, salads on the road or something. I just feel like, you know, a lot of people these days travel for their work, and then they end up eating out a lot. It gets to be very expensive, and it also is, you end up eating more fast foods, fatty foods and things like that. So there's so many things you can do to actually feed yourself well on the road or at home, but with, you know, on a frugal budget. So we like to do that, and we like to eat healthy. I'm going to add a little bit more for the second batch. Put a little bit more oil on, just to keep it from sticking. Not too much. And then we'll put a second batch in. I use my fingers. The pan's a little hot, but yeah. Asbestos fingers. Don't really need much oil because you're still going to be stirring it. So we'll add the rest and be ready to finish this up. So here is the rest of the granola going in. Put it all in. And you can just grab the little last bit that's with your clean hands or a spatula. Okay, so just spreading it out a bit. Had a little bit more in the first batch, but it doesn't matter. So this batch, because there's less in it, I'm going to probably start with 7 minutes and end with 6 minutes. So it's just, you can get used to whatever it is and be flexible. And here goes the last batch. And since it was a smaller batch, I'm just going to set the timer for 7 minutes, I guess. That would be good. And then we'll stir it after 7 minutes, and we will be done. So thank you for watching. Enjoy your granola.